long-form content, give our guests a little bit more time to share their experiences, their story with you, their why behind the passion that they have for what they do. And today I have Tane Danger from Danger Productions, and he is sharing with you all about sketches of Minnesota. And so I'm gonna just dive in and let Tane share with you his passion for this amazing community project.
All right. Whew.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I have Tane Danger here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. So we had him on Midwest Access earlier this week, and I was like, actually, I'm gonna need you to talk to me longer because I like you so much and I love what you do. So last year I got to talk to you, and you were just all over Minnesota, kind of up in everybody's business a little bit, right?
In
the
way,
best
possible
way.
Don't get me in trouble to start this thing off. Like, I was invited. Yeah, very important.
Important to say. Invited to be up in everybody's business.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the best possible way, like I said. So bringing people together, which I just thought when I first heard your idea, inviting the community out for a free meal.
Right.
I mean, already, right?
All right, yeah.
But people sitting down, talking, you
Right.
go. Tell
Okay,
us.
so my company is Danger Productions,
Yes.
and we're an improv comedy company, but specifically we do a lot of improv that is about bringing people together and trying to get them to both talk to each other and, very importantly, listen to each other and use some humor and theater to do that. And so we have a project called Sketches of Minnesota.
So cool.
That's a partnership between us and the Minnesota Humanities Center.
Okay.
And basically what it is that, as you said, we go to communities all over the state where we are invited.
Yes, good point. Where you are invited.
But all over the state, really.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, we were here in Rochester last year, which is why we
Yes.
talked to you then. But we've been Rochester, Rosemount, Boston, New Ulm, Albert Lee, Duluth, Big Fork, way up north, International Falls.
Oh, really?
Everywhere.
Up to Canada, back down.
I know, yeah. You start getting the Canadian radio stations up there.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't you know.
So in each of these, as you said, we have a free community dinner that we really try and invite as many different parts of the community to as possible.
Cool.
And then the most un-Minnesotan thing we do is that then we ask people, sit with people you don't know.
Oh, that's a little tough for us.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
But we're like, it's going to be fun, it's going to be safe.
Right.
But so then you got your dinner, you're sitting at a table with some people from your community, but maybe that you don't know. And then we ask them to talk about basically 4 things. Okay. We say, talk about what do you just love about your community, right? Like what makes this town great? Then 2, what are things that people who aren't from your town get wrong about it, right? Like, what are the misconceptions?
Which people want to, I mean, immediately, I hope you're feeling the same way. I'm like, I want to tell you everything I love about my community. I also want to tell you, oh, people get this wrong, people get that wrong. We're really like this. I'm from Fargo. Yeah. So, everybody immediately thinks that we have wood chippers and, terrible, horrible murders from the Fargo movie 30, 40 years ago.
In the movie, it didn't even happen in Fargo.
Thank you.
Exactly.
But you only
the
know
murders happened elsewhere.
Yes, exactly.
Which isn't a thing I thought I was going to say on this podcast.
About Sketches of Minnesota.
Okay, so
but it's about people love their communities.
They love their communities. Yes. We do ask them to talk about what are some of the challenges here. What are things that, you worry about or want to make better. Right. And then what do you imagine the future of this community to be? And so people talk about this over dinner, and they have good conversations. They share. You get some things that everybody's like, yeah, this is the best thing. And then you get some things where somebody says, I love this, and somebody else says, I don't know, that's not, I don't care. But that's interesting, right? Like hearing those different things. So what makes this different is that we have a team of very talented improv comedy performers from Danger Productions who are listening to all of these conversations, and then after dinner they get up on stage and they do an improv show reflecting back to the town. Here's what we heard you say about your own community. in sketch comedy form, right?
Yes.
Like, here's all the things that we're gonna just brag on in our town. Here are the misconceptions that we're gonna dispel. Here's some of the challenges. Here's what we like dream of, like what the future would be.
I love that one.
And so it's really funny, and it's hilarious. You know, it's a improv show about your town, which is super cool. But also, like, it gives people a chance to see sort of like, here's what people are talking about, and here's what they care about in their communities. And so we did that all last year, and it was our second year. And now we're back. The reason we're back is because we collect stories in each of those communities. And we've put all these different stories from all 9 places we went last year into one show that is sort of like, I keep telling people, it's sort of like, imagine if there were like an episode of Saturday Night Live, but every sketch was about a different town in Minnesota, kind of.
Yes, please.
And you get to see some of the quirkiness and the like specific things about different places, but also there's a lot of like, we have a lot in common, and we have a lot that we share. And that's what we're doing in Rochester on March 13th. So Friday, March 13th.
Yes.
We're going to be back here to do that final scripted sort of review, a tour of Minnesota in 60 minutes.
And fun. And when we were talking on Midwest Access, you had said, one of your favorite quotes. I'll let you quote it so I don't misquote it.
So this is Stephen Colbert has this line that he's used for a long time, but like that it's very difficult to laugh and be afraid at the same time.
Yes. I mean, you don't do those two things at the same time. And I think so much of our, some of our community issues, I guess, are fear-based. And whether it's just fear of the unknown, I think that's a huge one, is just like, I don't know that person. I feel weird maybe coming up to them and saying, tell me a little bit about your culture, or tell me about your job, or, and these are, you know, within our own neighborhoods, all those kinds of things. And so that's what you did. So how did you come up with this idea, or where did it spur from?
So Danger Boat Productions has been doing improv about issues and ideas and things like that for a long time. We've had a show for years called The Theater of Public Policy.
Oh, cool.
Which is a show slightly different, but similar in that instead of kind of listening to a community, that show is structured where I would do an interview with a person. And usually it would be somebody who was really smart on a particular thing.
Sure.
So we're going to do a show about, you know, how the school district is working. So we're going to talk to the superintendent of schools. Or we're going to do a show about the new highway project. So we're going to talk to the commissioner of transportation. And I would interview that person, and then we would do improv about all the things that person talked about. Super fun.
Where do I see this?
Yeah, well, I'm working on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. This is fantastic.
So we did that show for years, and then I thought, well, that's a really cool model.
Yeah.
But like, how interesting would it be if instead of talking to one person, you could talk to a whole town, right? Like, and try and get all of that together. And so this is going back 10 years now, but I did my graduate work at the University of Minnesota, the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And I actually, as a capstone project, I was like, I want to, as a sort of a public policy experiment, can we go to a town and do sort of community listening and then do a show for that town about what are some of the issues and things that they're focused on? We did that up in Grand Marais, Minnesota, again, like 10 years ago now. And that was sort of the seed of the idea, and it was like really fun and really interesting. It was a little different, it was a little more policy-y. But we did it, and it was great. And so then I just sort of was like, well, that was cool. And we just I kind of would, every time I would talk to somebody, sometimes I'd be like, oh yeah, we did this thing once where we like went to a town and we listened to them. And it was really neat. And usually people would be like, cool, I guess. Yeah, whatever. But eventually I said this to someone at the Minnesota Humanities Center. And the Minnesota Humanities Center was like, oh, that's actually a really neat thing. What if we did it together in a bunch of different places? And that kind of got the ball rolling, and it took a while to pull it all together, but eventually we actually said we're gonna go do this all over Minnesota.
And you did, with great response too. We talked about when you were here before, Rochester's was already sold out.
Last time, yeah, when we were here last time.
Which I'm so glad that you came anyway to share the concept, because this is something that obviously not on the same scale, and most of us are not, great actors, but we all like to talk to each other. We like to be heard. We want to hear about other people's stories, and we can laugh together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe this is your block party. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can do your own, smaller version of let's get people together. Yeah. It makes me think of when social media is its best, and we're hearing, I know that's getting to be tougher and tougher. But we're hearing other people's views back before it just, was an echo chamber. But we could hear other people's views and listen and sort of connect with them. I feel like this is the opposite of what social media has become. Where we can do that in a real way. And of course, sitting down next to somebody, there's nothing as good as that, just to feel the energy in the room, to get to see you and, make eye contact and really hear where you're coming from. It's way easier to swipe, or not to swipe.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I say in this project, but in a lot of the work that I do, I fundamentally believe every single person wants to know somebody is listening to them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the really important second beat of that is, I think that is they don't even necessarily need you to agree. In fact, it might be better if you I hear you and I have another point of view.
Yes.
But I really believe all of us want to know somebody is listening and somebody cares about our story.
Yes.
And so I think that this is a really nice project for that, because it sets up that space for people to share and be heard, and do it in a way that has some fun and some levity to it. Because I'm totally with you in that if we can help people just sort of spend a little bit of time, I really think at the end of the day we keep finding over and over people like each other.
Contrary to popular opinion, people do like each other. And all it really takes is a conversation. And there is something about sitting down and breaking bread together. 100%. I don't know what it is, but it's a little bit of magic, familiarity, whatever it is. You can enjoy that together while you share ideas. I totally agree with you. The fact that some people, I think, even like that you disagree with them. I immediately thought of my middle child, who I think even when I understand everything she's saying and I compare that back to her, she just likes the back and forth of, well, what about this? Well, what about that? And that is really fun too, and stimulating, and just what a cool what a cool opportunity you gave so many people in Minnesota.
It's it mirrors in a lot of ways the work that you do on the Midwest Access, but then on this show too, right? Where people want to share what they're about and what they're doing, and hopefully, if people are watching or listening, it is because they're interested in what's going on and what are other people about. And I don't know, again, you mentioned the social media piece, and that's so complicated, and things, as we talked about on the show, have been hard in Minnesota, and there's so many ways you could fall into a trap of oh, well, we're impossibly divided. Nobody likes each other. Nobody wants to talk to each other.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I've been all over the state. I have been in very, very liberal places, very, very conservative places, very, very mixed places where people have all different identities, places where people share a lot of identities. And everywhere I go, people will sit down and they will have really good conversations, and they will leave we hear this almost every show that we do, where people are well, that was really good. That I really enjoyed.
What do you know? I like talking to this person.
I met this lady. I've seen her at the store before. Never said hello, but now I feel oh, man, we might be friends.
Right.
I'm great.
Yes. Getting back to maybe what we idealized community as years ago. I'm not sure if it was really that or not, but it's what we like to think of the best parts of a small town, right, where everybody knows each other. Yeah, you might be he likes that and he does this, but I can respect them. I understand where they're coming from, and it just makes for such a better community. Wish I had a beautiful out right there. But
I think that is beautiful. And as you know, it's partially about trying to ask good questions that
Yeah.
actually like give somebody space to tell their story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sometimes we do the thing where we're like, well, wouldn't you agree that?
We love to do that.
Yeah. And that doesn't really give somebody else like this space. And so that's why like our questions and the thing are really meant like just tell us, what do you love about your community? Could be anything. And we want people to like share different kinds of things and whatnot. What do you see as like a challenge here? Again, could be totally different things. But I think that, and this is just like good practice, which is a whole other body of work that we do of like how to sit with people and have good conversations. But if you can be genuinely curious about somebody else, people respond to that, and they are more willing to share and more willing to open up, and again, that's how we kind of like get to a better place, I think.
Yeah, but you're so right. They're so ready to open up. I have so many questions. All right, speaking of fun questions, what's something, if you would like to share, that you had to cut from this show because there had to be, whoa, there went my earring.
I have this effect on people.
Just fell right out of my ear. Well, we have to put it back. It goes with the outfit.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, it had to be really hard to cut it down to 60 minutes.
Right.
So you think of something off the top of your head that was like, that just killed me to cut that. That was a great thing I learned in.
I'm trying to think of something that we like to. So I mean, this is the second year we're doing this.
Yeah.
So what I don't know. It's hard to say because frankly, a little behind the scenes, we're still in rehearsals for this. And so I mean, the show opens next week, but it's,
I love theater.
Yeah.
I love theater. Right now, you're probably in that part where you're like,
yeah.
we have audiences coming.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a part of me where I'm like, I have to know like I have my script with me, and I'm like, I should be reviewing like what did we cut so that I can answer this question better. But what I can say is we did the show last year, and there's some stuff that kind of like comes over from last year into this year, and some new stuff. Not everything though from last year. And there is like this very beautiful song in the first year's show. That is called "I'm a Small Town,"
Cool.
and it is two performers, and they are basically singing as though they are all of those like really good things about a small town.
Cool.
But they're almost like it's almost like the town is able to like get up and sing a song for
that's
itself.
so cool.
And it's very cool. But it's also just like a really beautiful song. And if you go and Google Danger Boat. Sketches of Minnesota on YouTube. There's a video of this song from last year that you can see, but it's not in this year's show.
Okay, so that would be something that maybe we want to go look and see.
Yeah, so that is a little tricky. I will say, so as a teaser, since we're here in Rochester, there's a whole sketch in the show this year about Rochester, because Rochester is one of the towns that we went to. And kind of teaser, the premise of the sketch for Rochester is taking up the misconception that everybody in Rochester is a doctor.
Yes,
right?
Yes. When I moved here, and you first start going to, the dentist or whatever, and what do you do? Or where'd you, I moved from Fargo, North Dakota. Oh, what do you do at Mayo?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I don't work at Mayo. IBM is not as big as it. What else could you possibly do here?
Possibly is there. So there's a whole sketch about, and it's basically playing with the joke that like everybody thinks everybody in Rochester is a doctor. But so this sketch, which I'm naming because I'm glad I'm not actually in this sketch, because the comedy part is that everybody in the sketch talks to each other using like very dense medical terms, like in order to describe everything. Like they're just basically using like the most complicated sort of scientific and medical terms to just have like a regular conversation with each other.
They're like, would you like to ambulate down the hall?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it's very funny, but just from like a learning lines point of view, I'm like, I'm so glad I do not have to memorize like all of
the
these
medical
terms.
language. I have to tell you, so my husband hosts trivia in one of the local places on Thursday nights. If there is ever a medical question, it doesn't matter how difficult it is, everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. And everybody isn't a doctor, but this is, it's a unique place, as are all the towns in everywhere, but all these different towns in Minnesota. I bet you see a lot of common threads and a lot of really unique. Maybe what's something that really surprised you about a certain town?
Oh, I mean, like lots of things surprised me. I mean, surprise maybe is too strong, but like there are places that I just like had never been before and had like no concept of.
Right.
So Big Fork, Minnesota.
I have never been there.
Never been. It is tiny. It is 400 people, the entire town. About half an hour, 40 minutes north of Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So way up there. And actually, we were literally in the town of Big Fork, but they talk about it as they are the edge of the wilderness.
Oh,
right? Like
okay.
they really like, they're the edge of the wilderness. And I mean, I guess this was surprising. We showed up there and we do these shows all different kinds of spaces, right?
Yeah.
Like we've done it like in community centers and high school gymnasiums and actual theaters. Here in Rochester, we were at the Art Center, and then we'll do this show in Rochester at the Civic Theater. But in Big Fork, you know, I kind of, when we were first showing up, I thought, okay, we'll maybe be like in a community center, the high school or something
VFW,
like
high school,
We were in a gorgeous theater. They had this absolutely beautiful theater that is relatively young. I think like within the last 5 years or so. The Edge Art Center there, and you know, full like lighting thing, beautiful theater space. And again, it's just sort of one of these and they're very proud, and they put on great shows
of a town
there.
Of 400.
I know, and so there's a lot of things like that when you go out and around. I mean, this is maybe like a universal. Again, surprise might be strong, but really beautiful thing to me is that first question that we ask everybody, what do you love about your town? There is nowhere that we went that people hesitated for a second about like listing off things about that they love.
That is awesome.
And again, like there are places that I don't have a negative impression of any place, but I've never really thought about this place one way or the other before.
Yeah.
And if you then go to that place and ask somebody what's great about your town, they will be like, sit down. Like this is going to take a while. I will tell you all the things about why this is the best place. Like a couple of years ago with the tour, we went to Winona, not far from here, and there was a guy I asked that question to, and he was like, I'll tell you. Like, I lived in Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Minneapolis, and I eventually, like, ended up in Winona, and this is hands down 1,000 times, like, I would never go back to any of those places compared to being, like, in Winona. It is the perfect place. And then he listed off all, like, we have this Shakespeare Festival, we have Marine Art Museum, we have the best biking, we have multiple colleges, we have amazing art, we have the best bars and coffee shops, like all of these things. And he was so like just animated about like this amazing place. And that's true everywhere we go in Minnesota.
That is really cool. And that's a really good mind shift, because I think normally day to day, we aren't thinking about, I love this, I love that. But if somebody asks, we live in the places we live for a reason. Right. You know, we don't generally live somewhere where we're like, I hate it here.
And I think that's another really big learning for me about this project, which again, I think is the thing I really hope people take from it. So again, we've done a lot of Greater Minnesota. We also did shows in the Metro. We did a show in West St. Paul, and we did a show in a particular neighborhood of Minneapolis this year. And here's the thing, like, is that there's like the rural urban divide people talk about, right? Where there's sort of some people, the stereotype is that people in the Twin Cities will be like, oh, Greater Minnesota, like what's out there?
Right.
And I'm not saying that's but you know, you can hear things like that. And then the flip side of that is sometimes, you know, people, the stereotype is that people in Greater Minnesota will be like, oh, well, I would never go to Minneapolis or it's not safe, or where would I park?
Or they're kind of, where would I park? They're snotty, they're this, they're that. They think they're so much better than us rural people.
Yeah, and the thing that we find, like, is everybody hates somebody else talking about them that way.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like, people in Greater Minnesota do not like people in the Twin Cities saying, oh, well, Greater Minnesota is like this.
Right.
Because people in Greater Minnesota are like, you don't know.
Right.
Like,
you
you're
don't,
not here.
exactly. So that I bet was
yeah.
a great part of what are the misconceptions.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
And then people in Minneapolis and St. Paul don't like it when people in Greater Minnesota are like, oh, everybody in Minneapolis is like this or whatever.
Right.
Like, so there's a really good note about this, kind of going to this whole thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
People really want to be listened to. They want you to be curious about them, but they don't want you to speak for them.
Yes, and make assumptions,
yes.
which I mean we're all guilty of, but that is such a big thing. I think we do it all the time, and we make all these assumptions. Oh, they think this about us, they think that. Have you asked?
Yeah,
yeah.
Totally.
And that's what you're doing, is sitting down and having a conversation and asking those kinds of questions and getting those answers. I'm nervous about your time. Let's check your time.
We got a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also very uncomfortable in these chairs.
Yeah,
so
I know, you kind of got to
I keep moving around. Yeah, I think perch. Yeah, I think perch is best. So, okay. So Danger Bro Productions.
Yeah.
I actually would love to know a little bit more about what you do, because I see you here and there, and like you do stuff at Mayo, and you have improv classes, and I'm like, where is he?
Yeah.
And what's he doing?
Yeah.
And why?
That's fair. We're trying to get better about this, but it used to be that people would say, what does Danger Boat Productions do?
Yeah.
And I would say, well, we'll paint your house if you pay us. But no, so as I said at the top, Danger Boat Productions is an event and particularly improv company that we do a lot of shows and events where we're trying to use theater and humor to bring people together. And so Sketches of Minnesota is like a huge part of that.
Yeah.
That is a very like public show facing part of what we do. I talked about the Theater of Public Policy, which is like a whole other show thing we do. But then we do a lot of workshops, because the skills that improvisers use are very much like what you and I are talking about here. Like, improv is about listening to people, is about actually being curious and engaging with what they offered. You know, the magic words in improv are yes and. So
that is radio as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, which I probably have told you, but if not, I started in radio. I worked in long-term care for 20 years and then had this crazy opportunity. And that was one of the first things that they told me was, yes and with your partner.
Yeah. And so we teach a lot of workshops where we're teaching people some improv skills, but specifically with the notion, I mean, we teach some that's just like, oh, you want to learn improv to like have fun, but a lot of our work is actually, you want to learn some improv skills that will help you have a better conversation with somebody, work better as a team. Like, we do go into a lot of organizations and workplaces. How can some improv, like an improv session with your organization, with your workplace, like get it so that people just like can listen to each other better, work together better, adapt and think on their feet. And then, as you noted, I have this other hat where I serve as artist in residence at the Mayo Clinic Lavin Center for Humanities and Medicine.
Okay.
And so, again, in that role, my primary work there is leading workshops and classes, and I actually have a class in a selective in the medical school where we are teaching improv skills as a way for medical professionals, allied health staff, to listen better, empathize better, think on their feet when something doesn't go exactly the way they think it's going to go, and kind of self-regulate emotionally, which is obviously something really important in medicine.
Very important. Well, I mean, this is not news to anybody, but Mayo is a cut above for so many reasons. But one thing, my mom was just there, and we were there for quite some time and dealt with different departments. But there is a different, you can tell that. You can tell that they have been taught how to talk to people, how to listen to people, the yes and, that alone. And so, wow, it's very impressive that an organization embraces that. And, you know, and those are the things that we kind of try to gloss over in a lot of businesses and a lot of industries. And that's really the thing that makes it. You know, that's where really the money should be invested is, can you imagine just that concept of yes and in your workplace? If you responded that way, if the people that, rather than like, I feel like a lot of times it's like this defensive, like, no, I did that because of this, or da-da-da-da-da. It's like, how about we just yes and that?
Right. Yeah. No, I feel very privileged to get to work at Mayo Clinic, and a big part of it is exactly what you're saying. It's a place that does put a value on. We are not going to just be a factory that just is trying to like get people in and out of here. It is somewhere where we are going to be patient-centered, and that means we're really going to listen. We're going to practice how we listen and engage with our patients and patients' families.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's the kind of stuff that on paper sometimes maybe does feel like, well, what is this or whatever?
What is this expense?
Yeah, but then when you actually are there and you experience it, you're like, well, thank God.
It is. It's totally different. And I've always kind of said, I don't need my doctor to be my best friend. I need them to be able to do the medical thing. But what is cool about Mayo is they do both. Yeah. I mean, and it really does make a huge difference. I felt like every situation we went into, people act differently when different things happen. My mom has not been this person before, but she really wanted me along for like pretty much everything. And it was comforting to her. It was comforting to me. But instead of, so I mean, I'd go into like, can I sit in the corner while they do the biopsy, and kind of odd requests. It felt like they always came at it with, can we make this happen? Yeah. Rather than, no, here's the reasons. It was like, well, can we make this happen? And if they could, they did. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I was ever told no, honestly.
And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but like you were going through this with your mom, and you obviously have like a lot of these skills, like these, like empathizing and listening, and I'm just, because a lot of people like find themselves in a caregiving situation unexpectedly.
Yes, which was exactly the case.
Right. Yeah. And so I mean, like those skills that you have practiced, like were those like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm using these parts of my brain, like.
Yes, especially the listening. The talking's always come quite easy for me, but the listening is something that you have to learn. And when I kind of switched from radio to interviewing people, radio, you just get to talk and hear yourself talk all the time, which is really fun. But when you're interviewing people, you have to listen. And so I have been working on those skills for the last few years, and that did really, really help me, rather than thinking like, here's the next thing that I'm going to pounce on the doctor. Like, let's just listen. Let's take that in. But you can tell. So your work is making a big difference over there.
I appreciate that. I feel very humbled and like grateful to do it. And again, I think about somebody like you and your family in that so many people, you don't expect all of a sudden I'm in this thing. Yeah. And so what are all the ways that you can try and equip everybody to be as empathetic and understanding and a good listener as possible? Because it's going to be hard. Yes. But the more we can do to like make it so that people are listening and working together, I think the better it's going to go.
Yeah. And we've just come so far from that, unfortunately, I think with, just our technology. And there's a lot of great things about it, but with, with social media, with all of those things, you can turn people off the second you want to. You can just go, done with that, and we don't really develop very good listening skills by doing those kinds of things, I think. So really it's all the in-person. Yeah. Tane, you rule.
This is so great.
Yes, you have your next event. Thank you for hanging out with me.
This is so fun. Rochester, come to Sketches of Minnesota, March 13th at the Civic Theater. It's totally free. You just have to search Sketches of Minnesota, Rochester. It'll come up, or go to dangerboat.net and you can click on like upcoming shows, and there'll be a link right there to register.
Perfect. Yeah, we buried the lead there. Free. The show is free. Yes. Yeah. Free. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you. Yes, we love getting to do this. We call it Midwest Talks. So that's me without a time limit.
I love it.